everyone, it's Paula again. I am back in my kitchen and today I'm going to show you how to render lard and make cracklings. The reason I'm going to show you how to do this today is because we do have some shortages going on, and the last time I went to the grocery store to buy oil or Crisco, they were out of both. So I came home and I made my own from the trimmings of a pork roast that I had canned. So this is something that can be done with just what normally would be waste, and it also makes me happy because I can cook with the lard, and it makes my husband happy because he can eat the cracklings. First, let me apologize and ask you to excuse the background noise. We have yard work going on and we have animals doing their thing as well. This meat and fat is some that I got from the butcher. I believe I paid $1.93 a pound and I got just under 2 pounds. So this I expect to get about a pint of lard and maybe a plate full of cracklings. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I need you to know is this needs to be quite cold. I put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes before I start cutting, and then I start cutting it into very small chunks. You do not want big chunks. There are some people that suggest running it through a blender or your food processor. I do not recommend that unless you want to spend 14 hours cleaning. So let's get started. You can see the chunks that I am doing are quite small, maybe the size of my thumbnail. So I am just trimming all of the fat that I can possibly get off of this meat so that I can get just the meat separated from the fat as good as I can. You'll notice that I have less meat and less fat than I did a while ago. That is because it was already warming up and getting hard to work with, so I went ahead and popped it back into the freezer so that it would firm back up and be easier to work with. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands now that I have a little bit of the pork cut up, and I will get my cast iron pot on the stove to start it heating. By the way, if you don't have one of these faucets, I highly recommend them. They're amazing when you have dirty hands and you need a touch-free faucet. I'm turning this to a low to medium low and just get it heating a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting all of this and separate the fat and the meat as much as I possibly can. Then we will start just the fat and get it going and heat it up. When you start it, your pan needs to be thoroughly dry. There can be no moisture in it at all. So we'll go ahead and finish cutting this up and see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see I have about a handful of just lard, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in my skillet or my cast iron pot that I have warming. I have started just the fat. The reason I start with fat only is because that is what creates the oil that you cook your cracklings in. And for the first 15 to 20 minutes of doing this, you do have to stir it pretty constantly. So you can see that I have two piles, one fat and one more meat. And I'm just going to give my hands a quick rinse and stir this again, and I will show you what it's looking like. You can see that it's starting to create all that oil in the bottom, and the pieces are starting to kind of disintegrate. And it's been, I don't know, a good little bit, and I've stirred several times. I'm going to go ahead and add in the rest of the fat, and here in just a little bit I will add in the meat part that will become our cracklings. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest in, and now we wait. See that we've got a good amount of oil going, and you see all the bubbles? That is pretty much the moisture that's coming out, and you want to continue cooking it until there are no more bubbles. And just stir it every little while and you'll eventually get cracklings and lard. Okay guys, the bubbles are getting fewer and fewer, and you can see that it's getting really brown. The browner pieces are the meatier pieces, and the lighter golden colored are what is left of the fat, and that is all what becomes your cracklings. And we're just going to continue to cook this until all of those bubbles are gone. And also, I am working behind me. I showed you in my last video that I was grinding my own flour at home using a blender, and I'm about to make some fresh bread. Alright guys, our pork lard is rendered and we have cracklings. I'm about to take them off the stove, but I wanted to show you what I have here. The salt is for the cracklings. I have the funnel to funnel the lard into the jar. I keep the jar in a bowl of hot water so that the jar stays hot, so that once you put the lard in, it doesn't break the jar. I have a strainer to get the cracklings out and a coffee filter to filter those tiny little particles out. So I'm going to grab the pot off of the stove and we'll get to this. There is all of your cracklings. And if you've never had fresh cracklings, they are so much better than what you buy in the store. And it's a good way to season your cast iron too. I am only using salt to season my cracklings. You can use salt, pepper, whatever seasonings you want, but I'm just using salt because that's what my husband likes. Okay, I'm going to take my jar out of the hot water, and it is still hot, and I use a metal funnel and a couple of coffee filters, and then just simply ladle the hot lard through, and it will catch all those tiny particles. so now you know how to render lard and make cracklings. This is the end product. This is some that I made the other day, and so it has been sitting for a couple of days, and so you can see that it turns white and looks more like just your regular oil or Crisco that you buy in the store. This is better used for frying rather than baking because it does have a more pork flavor. If you want to use your own or make your own to bake with, then you need to use what is called, I believe it's called leaf tallow, which is the inner fat rather than the outside fat. So anyway, there you go. That's how you render lard, make cracklings. These are lessons that used to be passed generation to generation, and we've kind of fallen away from that. So I just encourage you to kind of get back to basics and teach your kids how things used to be done, because this is how they used to survive. We around here, we live in town, but we do have more of a homesteading qualities about us. You know, we raise animals and butcher those animals and raise our chickens and all of that good stuff. Everyone knows me as the crazy chicken lady. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, you know the drill. Thanks for watching.